Hi, I hope you're doing well today. It's a good day for us to be alive. I'm getting to that point in my life where young people refer to me as old. Well, I'm okay with that. Really, I don't care. I figure that gray hair is a mark of the many adventures that I've been on through life. The problem with getting older, though, is that your body can't keep up with what it thinks your mind thinks you can do. And, we have to deal with that, right? But I'm luckier than a lot of people in the world because the more I mature in age, I am also loved by those who are important to me. I've been reminded, looking at a few pictures of times past in our lives, thinking about those things. And I ran across a picture of one of our furry kids, our little dog, named Chewy, who had been with us for almost 16 years before she died. And we struggled with the question whether or not we wanted the responsibility of adding another dog to our family. And we finally decided, yeah, it's time after about 8 months. And we went to the local animal shelter and we found a little rescue dog and we rescued her. Okay. That's what we did. Uh, Now, what makes her special was that she's picked up as a stray in a parking lot of McDonald's, of all places, hanging around the dumpster where they threw out the food. Well, the animal shelter picked her up and no one came to claim her. She was scruffy. She was shaggy. She looked terrible. She had matted hair, undernourished. You could feel the bones through her skin. She looked like one of these dogs that they put on television to, ask you to help them with saving animals. Animal shelter estimated her age was about 12 years old, which makes it harder to find people who are willing to adopt her. On her tag, she was listed as OAU, OAU, okay? Old and unwanted. You see, everybody wants a cute puppy, but an older dog, just a few years left on her life, it's another story. The bottom line is if the shelter didn't find someone to adopt her, they would euthanize her. Well, from the time we saw her picture online, the scruffiness and all, we wanted her. We saw a scared little dog that really didn't understand what was happening to her. And she was completely at the mercy of people she didn't know. Well, being older ourselves and having had two small dogs in the past that lived to be nearly 16 years each, we understood somewhat the limitations of her age as well as our age. And we wanted to love her and give her the best last years that we could. Well, my wife called every day until they put her up for adoption. They had a waiting period to let anybody who might own her come and claim her. Well, the morning she was available, my wife was at the doors when they opened, and she became part of our family. Now, here's what I'm getting at really. It seems that our society has lost some very important values, and one of them is honoring older folks. Older folks are just like that dog to many people. OAU, old and unwanted. Our younger generation, for the most part, worships youth and rejects the concept that those who being older might have something really important that they contribute to society and to their lives, maybe something important as love and acceptance. Now, it was interesting that our old dog found her way quickly into our heart. She was so overjoyed to be in our home with us after a while, but not right away. You see, for the first couple of months, she just hid in her bed. And she slowly began to understand that there were people who weren't going to hurt her, weren't going to mistreat her, that she could trust. And then she began to run around like a puppy. She would climb up on our laps and want to be cuddled, exuded love for just a few minutes. She didn't stay on our laps long. At first, she didn't anyway. My wife said it seemed strange that she adapted so quickly. And I said, well, maybe she understood the fate that stood before her before we came along. Well, not really, but we acted like that. So maybe that translated into something she could understand. Now, looking at a spiritual application, a bunch of scriptures come to mind as it relates to this. But most importantly, the scripture tells us while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us, and that he was not willing that anybody should perish, but that all should come to salvation in him. Well, now we are on our fourth little rescue child, furry kid, if you will. Another rescue who had been in a breeder's kennel for 6 years of her life, had never known what grass was like. When we got her, it was kind of interesting. You take her out in the yard, and she would kind of step on the grass and hesitantly, and she finally got where she loved it, and she would run all over the yard and play and chase and smell and sniff. But yes, she was older too. You see, we may be older, and we may be a little bit scruffy looking too, but not to God. God understood the fate that awaits those just like that little dog who are lost and alone in a big, lonely world. And he determined that he would do anything, go to any extreme to rescue us, and he did. And he died for us, that we can live eternally in the arms of a loving master. A little while back, I wrote a book about dealing with the loss of your furry loved ones, and I called it A Dog-Sized Hole in Your Heart. If you have a furry child, and you might find it interesting, and I'll leave a link in the description stuff below for you to take a look at that. But I'd also like you, if you would subscribe, please. If you'd do that, it would mean the world to me. It encourage me greatly if you'd subscribe. Maybe even click that little like button. And maybe even leave a comment for me. Let me know what you think about the things that I'm speaking about. Other than that, I just want to thank you for being with me today and making me no longer feel a OAU, old and unwanted. I appreciate you for who you are and what you have to offer in this world. Thank you for listening.